a respect deal. You know, we've been playing real well on the West Coast. We've been searching for our own identity for Gonzaga University.
You know, we're not the best airport team. You know, we don't look that good out in warming up and that. So looking at us and then seeing the name on the jersey, people, you know, I would imagine have a tendency to kind of overlook us or not take us so seriously.
Sit around basketball, that can take you places you could never imagine. 1, 2, 3, go!
Gonzaga University will always be a special place for me.
There's nothing else like it. You guys come back for a reason because it's a special place.
It touched my heart. It touched me. This place is part of my life. I love this place too much.
And I think that's why they're winners. And they'll continue to win because the way how they embrace people, make it all seem like it's a family.
I couldn't have, chosen a better place to be.
If we would have sat down as freshmen and wrote a movie script on how we wanted our college career to go, we could have never written it this well. We're blessed. I just feel very fortunate to have this situation and just make the most of it because I don't know when it's going to happen again. And by no means I expect to be on this scene when I was a freshman choosing to come to Gonzaga.
Lit up like a crystal ball, that's cool, baby, so is you, that's how I roll. If I'm shining, everybody gonna shine. I was born like this, don't even gotta try. I like shot a nigga better over time. Boy, I have to back the grave, good morning. Have been sleeping for too long, I'm yawning. Everybody talking, trying to see me. Disbelief like, hey, breathing, he was 6 feet deep. Boy, what you say? Hold up, shut your mouth. Dead man can't holler what you talking about. Cause what you through that door, it ain't no walking now. But let me take you back in time in my coffin now. Oh, I know you you smell it in the air? Cause I've been in the grave for too long, I swear. People crying, I'm missing. Oh, bitch, where it been written? My face pale, they can't tell your boy back be risen. Coast to coast and call the preacher, he's so gone. It's over, can't nobody reach him. Say so long, ain't but hold on before you crying run out. Heard somebody come and saying something, then it come out.
When I think of my Gonzaga family, I think of loyalty, love, support, faithfulness, strong, sisterhood, caring, greatness, community, inclusive, sacrifice, happiness, passion, encouraging, friendships, unconditional.
This thing's wide open, so we're dialed in, we can win this whole thing. Oh, yeah.
Our world has been turned upside down over the last 7 months.
Our 22nd straight appearance in the NCAA tournament, along with the hopes of winning a national title, were canceled due to an unprecedented pandemic.
A virus that has changed everyday life around the world, as well as hate, racism, and division, have been at the forefront of our minds.
But most importantly, we have seen the loss of innocent and precious life.
As normalcy begins to creep back in, our season is on the way.
Throughout all the negativity and uncertainty, who we are as Zags does not change.
We are a diverse group that come together from many different backgrounds. We are united. We are family.
We are dedicated to make Spokane and Zag Nation proud.
We are determined to listen to those hurting
and to leave a lasting legacy for our future generation.
We are determined to play with the same passion, energy, and togetherness that the Zags are accustomed to.
If our fans are not present in the stands, we will take every last one of you with us in our hearts.
We are determined to bring unity.
Because as Zags, we are not divided. We are united.
Enough is enough.
Let's unite.
Let's love.
Let's build. Join us.
Join us. Join us.
It's time.
Hi Zags, Gonzaga Day is Thursday, March 11th. Each year on Gonzaga Day, we take time to celebrate what makes our school and our community so special. And this year, we are celebrating one more thing. We are celebrating hope. We've all been through a pretty tough stretch, and some of us continue to be challenged. But throughout it all, we've been fortunate to be a community that cares for and looks out for each other. This Gonzaga Day, we want to take the time to remember there is still much more to celebrate and be hopeful for in Zag Nation.
What's up, Zag Nation?
Happy Gonzaga Day! We're celebrating grad school acceptance!
The friends and family that kept me sane for the past 12 months.
Our newest little Zag to our family.
The Zags making a difference in our world.
We are hopeful to be back in the kennel soon.
I am hopeful for more humor in this world.
I'm celebrating being cancer-free.
Moving into our first house.
The wonderful community that we have at Gonzaga.
My new little nephew is going to be born.
I'm also very much looking forward to fist bumps, hugs, and real community when it happens.
We're hopeful because of her.
For a great year for our alum in Spokane.
I'm celebrating getting accepted into GU. I'm proud to be a part of the class of 2025. Let's go, Zags!
Go Zags!
Go Zags!
Go Zags!
Go Zags!
Go Zags!
And enjoy your National Gonzaga Day and hope everyone is safe and healthy. So take care.
And we're proud to celebrate right alongside each of you. On Gonzaga Day, join us for our special program featuring NBA great and class of 1984 alumnus John Stockton, together with his daughter, class of 2019 alumna and professional basketball player Laura Stockton, and moderated by Zag great Matt Santangelo from the class of 2000.
Zag Nation, what are you celebrating? What are you hopeful for? And most importantly, what are you grateful for?
Happy Gonzaga Day. Let's celebrate hope.
Happy Gonzaga Day. Today, all around Zag Nation, we are celebrating hope. So many of us have had a challenging year, and for many, these challenges continue. But we remain connected as a community of support and concern for one another. And amidst all we're navigating, we must still take time to notice, reflect on, and even celebrate what's going well. These are the things that give us hope. So today, we're celebrating our resilient students, our creative and caring faculty and staff, our stellar athletic teams, and our supportive alumni and friends. Most especially, I want to extend my gratitude to so many of you who have shown up with donations that have helped our students, their families, and the broader university community during this pandemic. We share in your celebrations across Zag Nation. You inspire us to look forward to the future with hope and faith of good things to come. Tonight, we'll hear from some impressive alumni who know what it takes to persevere through challenge and move forward with hope. Please join me and my friend Matt Santangelo as we welcome Gonzaga alumni, father and daughter, and former Gonzaga basketball players John and Laura Stockton.
All right, we're here at famed Jack and Dan's with two esteemed alums from Gonzaga, John and Laura Stockton. Who's Jack? Who's Dan? How does this impact your family?
Well, we are sitting here in Jack and Dan's, and I've been looking up at my dad's, Jack Stockton, who was the founder of this, along with his partner Dan Crowley, and he wanted this picture of St. Aloysius Church up there in a stained glass. It's just a beautiful picture, and dear to us. And so, to me, I told JC here, Jeff Condale with Jack and Dan's, it's so nice. This feels like it used to feel for me to walk into mom and dad's house after being away a long time. You know, when you walk into your parents' home, it's home. And you breathe differently and you stand taller, and that's how I feel walking in here, and I'm just grateful JC and Kevin let us come in here to do this.
Yeah. And how about Jack and Dan's for you? Has that always been a part of the family tradition, like it always knew it was a part of the family?
For sure, yeah. And I mean, I was early on obviously having to stay in the back room and stuff, but I think as I've gotten older too and been able to go to Gonzaga, you can see it's even bigger than just how we feel about it. It's definitely a community Gonzaga staple.
Yeah, this is walking into home for a lot of people.
Yeah. So definitely makes us proud.
Yeah. Give me the layout of like the Stockton family in Spokane, kind of the history and relationship with GU. Who went to school here, who didn't go to school here?
All right. Well, I'll probably start with that since my grandfather's the first I know. He played football back here in the 20s, and they had a heck of a football team, and apparently he was a very good player. My dad grew up on campus, lived on campus literally his entire life, as did I for the most part, and the kids have enjoyed some of that as well. So my dad went to school there for a moment. He came out of the GI Bill and went for a year and then had to go to work because it wouldn't pay anymore after that. And then, of course, David comes along, and Laura, and then I met my wife there as well. So a lot of Stocktons in the Gonzaga lineage.
Yeah, there are, and a lot of history too. Did you always know that you wanted to go to GU? Like, what was your journey like to campus? Or from campus to campus? You lived here already.
Well, I didn't want to go to Gonzaga. In fact, I didn't have a lot of choices. I was recruited by about 3 Division I schools total, and it wasn't until I went on the recruiting trips that I realized I really wanted to be home. But it seemed like the worst place for me. I'd been sneaking into the gym at Gonzaga since I was, too little to play. They used to, the chains would pull out on the door. My brother and his friends would like drop me in below, and I'd go sneak through and open a window and let everybody in. And so that was my method. And that didn't seem very appealing to me anymore. I had enough of it. But like I said, when I went on the recruiting trips, it felt like home, and I needed to stay here.
Yeah. Now, you mentioned you met your wife here,
yep,
who also has a strong relationship with GU as well. Didn't she have a lot of family members? The Sepovich family have a lot of members through GU?
Yeah, starting with her father. Went here for a while, and then a bunch of her brothers and sisters. She's from a family of 13, so a fair amount. I'd say about half of them came here at one time or another.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That many?
Yeah.
How did you two meet?
Well, I met her twin sister in my very first class, very first day of school, and pretty bashful. So we sat next to each other, and I think I said my first word to her after about 7 weeks in. And, I thought she was really cute, but she was taken. So I settled for the twin, and the rest is history.
I knew that story was coming.
Me too.
I've heard that one before, so that was one I wanted to make sure that we got in there.
She sees it a little differently.
Yeah, I'm sure, especially settle. I'm sure settle settles well when you use that word when describing it. So fast forward a few years. Now, the Gonzaga he went to is a lot different than the Gonzaga you went to by reputation and by, facilities, campus. I mean, everything had changed by then. What was kind of your relationship with GU growing up? And did you always know that you wanted to go there, or were you looking at other places too?
Kind of a similar boat. I loved Gonzaga, but I thought I knew everything there was to know about it by the time I was being recruited. And then same thing, I went on my visit, and it just seemed pretty obvious that, this is where I wanted to be, even though it was home. And, that ended up being one of my favorite parts about it.
Can you think of a story, Laura, that kind of exemplifies what basketball meant in your family growing up?
Gosh, well, basketball has obviously just been a part of our lives for as long as I can remember, but something I think that is a great memory for our whole family was after I got injured. During my rehab process, when I started to get playing again and things were shut down a little bit, we were able to run 3-on-3 with each other. There's so many of us, and we all have basketball backgrounds in some way or another, and it's probably my favorite basketball memory, family memory of all time, and I'm really grateful for it because it helped me get back to where I wanted to be. And then, I don't know, we just had so much fun as a family. We're super competitive, and it was just awesome.
Kind of staying on that same theme, what was again, maybe back to you, what was the perception of Gonzaga when you were looking at schools? I mean, it's different for yours. It's a brand name now, it's a powerhouse. But for you, it was, before all that kind of took place. So what was your perception of GU, both academically and athletically, when you were evaluating schools?
Like I said, I sold programs to get into games as a little kid. The Rat Pack around the neighborhood, we'd find ways to get into the games. And so very familiar. We knew that we weren't the team in the league. At the time, it was the Big Sky Conference, and we weren't even the team in that conference. And then right before I came here and moved to the WCC, we weren't the team in that conference. So never had delusions of going to Duke type thing. And again, it wasn't my first choice until I went on the recruiting trip. So I don't know, it was, the crowds weren't full except for against certain teams. When it was against great teams, you would see you remember the old kennel in there, and it wasn't called the kennel, it was Kennedy Pavilion.
Yeah.
People would be in the balconies up there and leaning over the edge. I mean, they found places to exceed capacity probably for those games, and those were so much fun and continue to be so when we played here.
Yeah. And then what about you? Perception growing up, you talked about how it was always, for you it was, you kind of looked forward to the opportunity to play at GU, but when you kind of got that exposure to other schools, what was reinforced, or what continued to make GU special in your kind of recruiting trip and evaluating college too, because academics are part of it?
I would say for women's basketball especially, it's rare to just see that type of community, all the fans, the sellouts. It's really, really rare, and especially for kind of a small town feel like Spokane is. So I think on my visits I really realized that. And then The community piece really was just huge for me. Not only the fans, but just kind of the way we interacted with alumni or people around Gonzaga, just in general, was just something I could tell was really, really special here.
Yeah, and it's just a tremendous following. I mean, the support that the women's teams get, the program gets, is amazing. And if I remember correctly, and someone can fact check this, is like the attendance at GU women's games outrank like every other WCC school combined. Like, it's something crazy in the amount of support that both programs get. All right, so we'll move, kind of continue in this direction, and kind of stick on the basketball thing. And I'll start with the father side, not the playing side. But, you know, every ESPN game when David was playing and then Laura was playing would focus on your child, do the proverbial like scan to the crowd. You know, there you are. You know, definitely proud of your family, but also maybe a little bit of a critical eye as well.
Absolutely.
But just kind of, what was that like, being able to watch your kids play at like top 25 level college basketball? It's
pretty neat. I mean, I think every parent, you don't want to try to persuade your child to stay and play so you can watch them, but what a gift it is when they do. I had a chance to watch David and Laura down there. Great games, great experiences. You have to watch yourself in those scenarios that you don't find yourself eating pizza very often. So you try not to react good or bad, and just enjoy the game, and sometimes that's easier than others.
Yeah. And to you, like, you know, playing in front of your family means a lot of different things for a lot of different people. Sometimes that's a really daunting kind of task and experience, and sometimes it's something that's really uplifting and powerful. What was it like for you having the opportunity to play in front of your, not just dad, but your entire family?
Yeah, I loved it. Such a special experience, just to be able to see my family up in the stands before the game and after the game, and not even just them, but like extended family, people I've known since I was a little kid. You see their faces in the stands, and it's such a special thing for me, and so I'm really grateful for that, and you know, I wouldn't trade it for the world.
My senior year, because I'm from Portland, and right where University of Portland is, right in North Portland, my senior year, I think my family got 56 tickets. I'm the youngest of 9, so I'm like Nada. 56 tickets, and those were just blood relatives. Those weren't even buddies, you know. That was just, oh, hey, it's the cousins and the family and everything, and I don't think I played very well that night. You know, that was our senior trip down there. So I think that would be, I admire that you took that perspective and said, yeah, this is great, because I think, like I said, it could be very daunting.
Well, you were anonymous for about 30 seconds from the time you got here, so you don't get to hide behind that.
Yeah, well, so let me ask you this on a basketball side. How do you watch the game? Like, do you watch it? What are the types of things you look for as you're watching, especially as we talk about this year's teams? Is it critical? Are you a fan? Like, how do we make them better? Like, how do you approach those games?
That's a great question. It's for me, it's very critical. I start with warm-ups. I like to watch warm-ups. Yeah. I like to watch how people warm up and how they prepare their minds as well as their game, and to see what kind of, what's their routine. So that's really important for me. And I watch both teams, and I get really irritated, frankly, if I'm watching, first of all, if our team is not doing stuff I think's up to snuff, I'm clearly irritated. But if the other team is, and I get irritated with that, because I think we kind of have a dual responsibility to bring our best. Yeah. And when I watch another team not bring their best, it offends me. And so I'm up there grinding my teeth a lot of the times watching games, and probably ruins the experience of being a fan in a lot of cases. But it is what it is. And I do watch things critically. I watch with the idea of, what if somebody asks me? If somebody calls if any of the coaching staff from either of the teams would say, hey, what do you see? Yeah. I want to be able to give them an intelligent answer. Huh. So they never ask, but I want to be prepared.
But you're prepared. For that. Yeah. And then how about for you? What do you look for when you're watching these games?
I think I'm mostly just a fan, just kind of enjoying the moment a little bit. And I still know some of the people on the team, so that's fun for me, knowing them as people, outside of the jersey. And so I can kind of root for them, and it's fun.
Yeah. I'm more of a uniform guy myself. I don't like the grays. I wish they'd bring back the red ones. I know I get probably showing up on Twitter for saying that, but I wish they'd bring back the red jerseys, even though they're super bad luck. And then we'd always joke around, the black ones are supposed to be bad luck, but they only wore them in the biggest games. So your margin for error was a lot smaller when you only wear the superstitious in the largest games of the year. So you're going to have, they only lose once every 4 or 5 years. So your chances go up of losing in the black jerseys if they play in those.
Well, Matt, I had the same jersey for 3 years. The same jersey, not groups of jerseys, not colors of jerseys, same jersey for 3 years. So it's really hard for me to understand this.
And so when I showed up, they had 13 and 15. Like, I wanted number 2. That's what I wanted. And they're like, no, we got 13 or 15. And so I was like, oh, I'll buck the trend and go, lucky number 13. I'll just go against the bad luck. Yeah. And so Ryan Floyd, a walk-on and a great, name in the Gonzaga folklore, but wore 15 and I wore 13, and that was it.
That's funny.
And it was the same jersey for 3 years until finally we went to the Elite Eight, and then Nike thought maybe we could give them some new uniforms our senior year. Let's go a little bit with on the theme of playing in front of family and pressure, and just pressure in general. Like as an athlete, professional level for both of you. Is there such thing as pressure? What did pressure mean for you as a player? And then it'll kind of segue into what we think these teams are experiencing. At the level that they're playing at, the amount of attention and theatrics that they live under. What may they be experiencing when it comes to pressure?
Well, I mean, there's always pressure. I don't know that we ever sense it as pressure. I mean, obviously you're at the end of the game, you have 2 free throws, you need to make them, but even that, it's you feel it, but it isn't kind of taking your mind there. You're making the shot. Yeah. And so I think athletes kind of prepare themselves in some way or another for that. The pressure's there, it's understood, but you don't dwell on it. Yeah. So you kind of trust your work, and that's where the beauty of all the extra work, I think, pays dividends is, gosh, I've shot 1 million free throws. I should be able to make this one. Yeah. I've dribbled the ball up 1 million times. I should be able to handle this one. So, again, without dwelling on it, you're confident because of the preparation.
Yeah. Is it more pressure to watch it?
You certainly feel it more, yeah. I mean, that heart's pumping, and you're thinking about nothing but, oh gosh, please make the shot. And you never thought that way when you were playing.
Yeah, you just give me some space. I'm going to duck this thing down. What about you? What does pressure mean for you? Is a similar story, or do you feel it differently?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I've always felt like the only time I felt nervous or pressured is if I didn't prepare for that particular moment. So the more work you put in, like he said, and just that preparation gets rid of the pressure for me.
That's what you're supposed to do.
Yeah.
And I remember when the butterflies hit, I always said yes. Now I'm ready to go. Yeah. The energy's good. It's time to play, because you put in the work. So then let's go to the fans. So this year's teams. What do you think of this year's group on the men's side?
Well, I think whether you're talking about the men's or the women's program, it's almost like, at least it seems to me like they're recruiting the best people in the world. I mean, I don't know if you've met any of these kids, but what great people they are. Yeah. And that doesn't happen everywhere. And so it starts there. And so I'm really proud of them. I'm proud of both programs. And then you watch them play. And I mean, to not be a fan of Corey Kispert or Towney, these guys have put in the shift. They've taken roles on their teams to help them win, including the role to make them win, to be the lead guy. And I'm just really proud of them. Yeah. Every day, it's a blast to watch them, regardless of their opponents, and we make a point to watch them together and really enjoy it.
Yeah, that's awesome. Anything to add on this year's group?
They're just so talented, and knowing them again just makes it even more fun. But my heart just aches for them that they can't have that kennel experience, especially maybe these new kids coming in. But gosh, because that's just an unbelievable feeling. I think anyone who's played there just knows.
You talked about pride, and I think that was one that we had here too. That's interesting that you brought that word up, because your own impact and kind of your legacy, certainly on us, has been hugely instrumental in what the program has grown to be. And so do you feel that? Do you feel that pride as far as your impact on the next generation, the next generation, the next generation that have come through this program?
Maybe to some degree. I think we all have a responsibility, whether it's our families or you try to be a good member of your family, it shines on your family, and a good person, and it shines on your team or your job or whatever. So when we lose sight of that, there's problems. So yeah, I'm definitely proud that at least I didn't send it backwards, You work really hard and you play really hard, but you lay it all out there, and it is what it is. It's not like you can manufacture it or choreograph it, but if you have great parents, You try to make them proud to start, and then your teammates and your coaches, and you try to make them appreciate what you brought to the table. And if all that comes out, and people do, and as you mentioned, guys from future generations come and take that yoke and even grow it the way you guys have and the way this group has, it's I don't know if pride covers it.
Yeah, it's good. When you think about your relationship with the program now that you're just a couple years out, and going forward, how do you want that relationship to grow over time, or how do you plan to impact the women's side in the program going forward?
Well, definitely being local, I feel like I have kind of a special connection with, the coaches and even the players, even the players I haven't got to play with, because I'm just around, I'm a friendly face, someone they could talk to, eventually play pickup with, that type of stuff. So I find it really important to, keep that connection going. The coaches, they always reach out to me all the time still and check on me, and that just means the world to me as well.
And talk about like open gyms. So when I was in school, you still worked out, you were still playing. So all fall you would be in with us. It got to a point where I don't know if it was my 7th or 8th year on campus.
Best 7 years of your life.
They finally let me work out with you in the morning. Like you could finally keep up with John enough in the morning, or maybe you were starting to slow. I don't know. I don't want to make a comment on that, but how important is it to for the community? Because there's a lot of old dogs in town, but men and women that Spokane's not home. Myself included, but Spokane has become home. What's that network for you, or that kind of family after school? Not the current athletes, but the rest of us that are just living here in Spokane and that made Spokane our home.
Yeah, it's funny that, and those have become some of my best friends. Yeah. I used to go down there. It's very businesslike. I'm coming down there to get ready for my season. You guys are worried about your season. The coaches were good enough to let me kind of join in with you guys and play. And I think that was a good experience for both of us, or for all of us. And moving forward here, when I returned to Spokane after playing, these were all the guys that were still viable athletes, still wanting to play. And we started my old Coach Pickett Sunday League again, and all those guys got together, and it's fun. We're all still learning, believe it or not, and then we can incorporate and have incorporated our kids, your kids. They get old enough to participate in that. What a great experience for them as well. So it's been a good thing, and been a great thing.
I remember one story from Sunday when David was in school, and he used to shoot his pull-up jumper but not square his feet up. It was always shoulders. And I remember sitting afterwards changing our shoes, and you started talking about how, and you had mentioned Jerry West, and Jerry West was the similar situation, whereas, we're always taught to get our feet square, but really you don't need your feet square, you just need your shoulders square. And David did that, still does it really, really well. And you had said, like, gosh, I've been around this game for however many years, and I'm still learning something new. And it was like, this light bulb moment went off. It's like, oh my gosh, John Stockton's still learning something new about the game of basketball? But you were. I mean, it was. And we talked about, we kind of broke it down exactly like, and it was just like, you always learn. You're always learning. And the game's always changing, so you're forced to learn too along with it.
Very good players are observant. I think if you probably look at qualities of great players, being observant's got to be one of them, because you're picking up something. If you and I play against each other, I need to pick up things to be able to guard you or try to guard you. But you also pick up things you can use, and the guys that are just wandering around, running the plays, doing I think they struggle to excel. Yeah. And so that group down there is still learning. And it's kind of maddening as I get older how much more they're learning than I am.
What about, just continue playing, because you're still playing, right? You just got back from first professional season in Germany, right? After rehab and getting healthy. What does day-to-day look like for you? What does basketball look like in your daily life? And then what does the next few months look like for you?
Well, right now it's just a lot of the little stuff, repetitive, gets a little old sometimes, but, back to basics, which is never a bad thing, I guess. Yeah. So a lot of times just shooting in the gym, nothing too crazy, lifting, doing some running too, trying to get in shape. So not a lot, like I said, not a lot of like the super fun stuff, but, it's anytime you get to do something new, it's really exciting and kind of gets you going again.
What did you think of playing overseas?
It was really fun. It was an interesting year for sure, just with Corona right now, and so we had a lot of testing, couple pauses here and there, and overall it was really good. I love my teammates. Just anytime you can play basketball, it's just fun. Yeah. I mean, not much more I could say about it.
Any lessons you'd like to share just on living abroad? I played 7 years overseas as well, and just kind of it's a different culture. It's a different lifestyle. They do things differently. Are there things you picked up on that you enjoyed while you were over there?
For sure. Well, I was really lucky that most people could speak English, but still there was some really difficult times. I always joke that I knew how to speak to the butcher, and that's about it. I knew how to, go to the grocery store, order my food if I needed it.
Yeah.
But over there it's just different, and especially I stayed home for college basically, and so it was definitely a big culture shock for me just to even be that far away from my family, and that's something that's really difficult. But when you really are passionate about something, that kind of stuff is just worth it. It's just what you do.
Yeah, and it's valuable.
Yeah.
Like you'll be really grateful for
sure.
those experiences.
Yeah, I think I definitely grew up a lot this year.
Yeah. Did you get over and see her at all this year? Were you able to
We're not
travel?
allowed. No, we've really enjoyed it, and her experiences in Germany, she's had some because Michael's played over there.
Yeah.
Her son Michael's played over there for 9 years or something like that. So it wasn't a new experience, but we haven't had any chances to go over. It's something I really looked forward to. You have time with those kids over there in their environment, their own adult environment, where parents haven't been involved even a little bit, and I've always enjoyed that. But it's been absolutely shut down. So.
Tell me a little bit, how's Spokane changed? Like if you look at this last, even from when we committed, and I was class of 95 out of high school, I mean, the city's changed considerably. What have you seen? What changes have you seen over the last couple decades? Yeah, well,
first start with Gonzaga. I mean, where I spend most of my time is in this neighborhood, and just to watch the changes in Gonzaga, the buildings, the space, the programs, it's just nothing recognizable from our days. And then the city, we took these kids to their games in high school. If we went out to Meade, half of that trip used to be along dirt roads, and now there's a freeway out there you can take. I mean, and houses all the way from point A to point B and beyond, and buildings. So it's had the urban sprawl that you see in other cities, and I don't see it stopping anytime soon either.
Yeah. All right, so this is the theme of Gonzaga Day. The point why we're meeting is to celebrate hope, right? That's the overall theme. Let's talk a little bit about joy. Can you, give us 3 things you're grateful for, 3 things that bring you joy in your current state of things?
Family.
Yeah.
It should be.
Yeah.
For us, real obvious one, I'd say. And really extensions from that, to be able to be outdoors is a joyous thing for me, whether it's, up the mountain somewhere or at a lake, out in the backyard, and people. I didn't realize, maybe I did, I was starting to realize more how much I personally need people. I need to be able to speak with them and smile at them and hug them and shake hands, and when those things happen, that brings joy.
Yeah. What are some silver linings you could think of in this last year with all the craziness we've had to live through?
I think it's definitely just brought me closer to my family and my friends, the people who have already been in my life.
That's what we're all missing, is that connection and that engagement with people. I mean, that's a big thing. A big hole we're gonna have to dig out of when we can finally come back out and play.
I don't think it's going to be easy. I think we're going to have to be tougher than we are right now. Again, go back a couple generations and see what our grandparents had to go through to get here. That's my hope, is that we see it and do what we do to make something better.
Yeah. I have the opportunity to speak to various media outlets on Gonzaga basketball. Usually this time of year, people come out of the woodwork and want to talk about the history of the program and different things. And I know this idea of being a Zag it's something. I don't know exactly what it is, but it means something to people who know about what it means. So what does it mean for you? How would you define being a Zag, and what does that mean for you?
Well, when I think of that term, there's a few people that come to mind right off the get-go. For me, it's Steve DeLong, Steve Hertz, Dan Fitzgerald, and what would they say, and what does it mean to them is kind of where I'm going. And I think it means that you're always clawing to get better. Number one is you leave no stone unturned in preparation, like we talked, and you definitely leave no stone unturned in terms of protecting a teammate or being good for a teammate and caring about your teammate, and then just being kind of tough enough to understand everything's not going to be easy, and being willing to bear the yoke for that. And again, those three guys I mentioned were my idols coming here, and Steve, many of them stayed throughout. And I guess that's what being a Zag is to me.
And I personally love that because I know those three were huge and instrumental for me too. How about for you? Different generation. What does a Zag mean to you?
I just think it means being a part of something bigger than yourself, being part of a family, and I think that definitely elevates you as an individual because you're held to this standard, and which is always going up, and so I think it makes you a really good person, and it's always nice to have that big community surrounding you.
I love that. This community of being a Zag lifts us all up. So talking about your playing days a little bit here, tell us about your favorite moment, in a Gonzaga uniform.
Oh, mine's easy. It's beating DePaul. The DePaul Blue Demons were the greatest team of our era at the time, and we went in there. We were the first team to beat them in their new building, and we were nobody. And to have Dave Clement make this miraculous tip at the end of a game on his own missed shot, I'll remember it the rest of my life.
Yeah.
And then the reception we got, we came back from a lot of road trips back then, nobody even noticed. That road trip we came back, the intramural group stopped and they all clapped. Yeah. I mean, that was just a new experience for us. So that without question is it for me.
That's it.
I guess I would say maybe playing Notre Dame when they were #1. I think that was my senior year. Yeah. We didn't win, but I think it was really cool for me, and I think a lot of my teammates, just to see what that almost next level looks like, and the women who are playing there, and they're at the next level, and they're playing in the WNBA now, and that was really cool for me to just kind of see where we needed to get, where I needed to get, and keep moving forward for us. And then we ended up having just a great year after that. I think it was really important for us.
Yep. Quinton Hall, when we first made the NCAA tournament in 1999, when we got our selection Sunday, and we were the 10th seed against Minnesota, was the 7th seed. And the whole thing is we could have totally been happy to be there. We didn't know, just like you, this was all new to us. We didn't know what to expect. And Quinton Hall's like, nope, let's go make some noise. Let's go make some noise. And so I remember that moment, oh, we can go play this game. I thought another really touching moment was the Final Four. I thought that was amazing that Coach Few let us be a part of that one. Special.
I think a lot of guys our age would echo that too.
Yeah, that one was...
all of us sitting there kind of looking around going, wow, look where we are. Yeah. We're watching us. Yeah, that was pretty cool.
And they get up and give us the applause and everything. That was really special. All right. Well done. Now let's send it out to Alyssa on location to continue the conversation.
Wow, tearjerker, especially at the end. Thank you so much, Matt. My name is Alyssa Charleston. I'm a Gonzaga correspondent. I do a lot of social media work with the men's and women's basketball team and other spring sports coming up. That was emotional. They helped build Gonzaga into what it is today. And we have 2 more special guests that are going to be joining me live who also helped build this special program. Ladies first, we're going Zakira Rice. She was a first-team All-WCC player. She averaged 15 points her senior year. Definitely a fan favorite, played with so much heart, all academic, honorable mention. And Zakira, it is not a normal time where you are at right now. You're playing professionally. You're in Finland. Tell me, first of all, what time it is and how this year is going so far.
Right now it is 4:45 in the morning. I'm sure my roommates are really glad that this is going on. Basketball is going great, playing well. My team has been undefeated up until our last game. We're 22-1. Everything is going really well.
Wow, so it sounds similar to the record you had when you were playing with Laura Stockton and that crew. Such an impressive team. Okay, excited to have you here. We also have another player that wore 00. Graduated in 2011, 2-time for all WCC first teamer, 2012 Defensive Player of the Year, loved to swat shots in his day. Drafted by the Lakers in 2012, 4 seasons in Los Angeles, and then played 3 seasons in Japan. Rob Sacre. Thank you so much for joining us. How are you doing, and what are you up to right now?
Oh man, thank you for having me. I'm super excited to be here. What am I doing? I'm chasing kids around, moving dirt, and just having a good old time.
And you're a player that has kind of stayed in that Spokane area. Obviously, you're not from Spokane, but I think that kind of speaks to Matt's point, talking with John Stockton about how a lot of players have stayed in the area. We know that the theme this year for Gonzaga Day, such a special day to recognize Gonzaga alum and just the meaning of the program, is hope. And I really want to know the opinion for both of you guys. What is bringing both of you hope right now in 2021 in a crazy year? Zakira, we'll start with you first.
I think just being overseas right now in the midst of everything that's going on with, the virus and things like that, and seeing how different countries, different places handle different things, and being able to kind of be free and live similar to what's going on in the States, but not really being in the midst of such a big threat, I think has really given me lots of hope.
And then Rob, what about you?
Oh man, just make every day like it's your last day and enjoy it. That's all I can say.
It's an important way to live life. I'm really curious, because the Gonzaga community is so connected, like player-wise, student-wise. Do you guys know each other before this? Like, is this whole event your first time meeting? Have you guys, ran against each other in open gyms?
Why do you think she won
like
0? That's cold, man. Why do you think she won the 0? Come on now.
Definitely not the first time. But it's been, Rob's had a pretty big role, I would say, in my time at Gonzaga. He was someone who I was always very happy to see. He was big on yelling Tacoma, which is where I'm from across the gym. And one of my favorite things about Rob is he's very caring, very big, soft, but very big man. And I know my sophomore year I got mono, and I was like out in the hallway crying, and Rob like comes out of the men's locker room. He's like, "Hey, what's going on?" He like hugged me, and like that meant so much, because I mean, obviously he doesn't really know me, but like it meant a lot that like a Zag, especially someone like Rob Sacre, would take the time to be like, "Hey, like things are gonna be fine."
Wow, that is really, really cool. And
sorry, Rob, go ahead. Me up to give mono.
Just being the caring guy you are, that's so cool, and that is really rare, and I think that's a unique experience to Gonzaga. I want to talk about moments. We heard Matt ask Laura and John about it, but we're about to enter the NCAA tournament time. Crazy finishes by both the men and women in the WCC tournament. Jill Townsend buzzer beater, and then obviously the men pull it out against BYU. So Zakir, I want to start with you. Do you have a special moment, particularly in March, that stands out game-wise, just one that you'll never forget?
I would say WCC, my senior year. I had just been asked have I had ever made a buzzer beater, and my answer was no, and that was previous to the St. Mary's game. And, after watching my point guard go down that I had been playing with for the last 4 years, and then Townie and all of that, being able to be the person that took the last shot and got us to the championship game in the WCC was a really big deal for me, and that meant a lot. So I would go with that one.
That was monumental. Rob, what about you?
There's so many moments. I would probably think about playing with my brothers, and it's us against the world, and having that feeling again. There's nothing you can't describe it, you can't put words to it, but just having that environment where it was you and your brothers going against the world.
Yeah, you guys had some Elite Eight runs, some incredible, getting Sweet 16, no matter what, getting that deep into the tournament is so cool to watch. And just note to fans, we so appreciate you guys sending in questions. We're trying to get to as many as we can, but thank you guys for being involved with this. So I want to talk about that fan base. It's really unique. Laura mentioned it. it's not normal to have sold out arenas for women's basketball. It's becoming more normal. But Zakira, what was it like to play in front of that kind of fan base? And did you have any special relationships with fans or families when you were a Zag?
Yeah, it was crazy. I think I got butterflies every time we went into the tunnel, and it was cool to see how accepting the fans were of me and all my crazy hairstyles, and just the fact that it was something that was so different to a lot of them. They had lots of great questions for me, but like in the end, it was amazing to see, like in the WCC tournament up in the stands, and there's people with my hair and blue afros and headbands and like all of that. As far as special connections with fans, I mean, the Nillis family, Shaniqua Nillis, who played, she was a couple years older than me. Her family and the Miller family really took me in and gave me a home away from home, even though I was so close to home. But I had places that I could go just to get away, and that was really nice.
The photos and videos of those fans with the hair in the stadium, iconic. Love it. Big time Zakira fans. Rob, what about you?
I say Spokane to Gonzaga as the Lakers are to LA. So as big as we were in Spokane, and you know, the fan base behind the Zags, that's what it felt like in LA, and there was no real big transition. It's you can't describe it. You really can't. And I'm just so grateful to be a part of this community and be able to say I'm a Zag.
And I'm curious for both of you, post-graduation, you talk about, you have friends that are athletes going to college, you go to different colleges, say your best friend goes somewhere else. Do you find that your experience at Gonzaga is unique to, you know, what other friends or other athletes might have experienced? Because you guys experienced success, a ton of success, a lot of trophies and banners, but also great relationships. And those don't always go hand in hand. So have you kind of compared your experiences to those of your friends and noticed a difference? We'll start with Zakira.
I would say, yeah, we definitely talked about the difference in Zag culture and being in a city where we didn't have a football team. And so like us and the men's team were the main events. So that was very different. But I think as far as freshman years are concerned, everybody's experiences were pretty similar in that, you know, the world is spinning at 100 miles an hour and we're just trying to play.
And what about for you, Rob?
Oh, there's no one has an experience like Gonzaga experience. So they can't even get on our level. I'm sorry. We have a unique level that no one can describe. So no, they can't. There was nothing. We were on two different worlds. That's for damn sure.
And a good example, obviously, Rob, an older player. I'm not going to age you, but an older player still there to support, you know, Zakira when she's outside the locker room sick. I think that's such a cool story, anecdote, and so rare. Quick question, Rob, any fun Mark Few stories that you can share on here?
Yeah, Coach Few. Yeah, I do have a good Coach Few story. My freshman year, we were in Raleigh, North Carolina for the tournament, and he went for a run and met us for dinner, and he was wearing some pink shoes. And I said, "Where'd you get those shoes?" And he said, "Well, me and Marcy have the same size." I said, "Oh, okay, that is where you got the pink shoes from."
Marcy? Who is Marcy?
Marcy, his wife.
Oh, Marcy, his wife. I said Marcy. He was wearing his wife's shoes to go on a run.
Yeah.
Anything for a workout. Okay, I'd love to know that. Last question from me to both of you. I'll start with Zakira again. Zakira, what does it just mean when you think about it now? You're a few years out. What does it mean to be a Zag and have that, you know, walk around with Gonzaga on your chest outside of being a student athlete like you were? I'd
say really honestly, it just means being the example, being the standard, we are what everyone wants to be. So I think that as a university, as a team, as a ZAG, it's a community that not very many people or anybody outside of it really can relate to.
So powerful. Rob, what about you?
Well, I think being a ZAG is all about family. It's the community's family, the teams, men and women, and all the athletic trainers. It's all family, and I'm forever indebted to them. So I'm so grateful to say that I'm a ZAG.
Appreciate it. Well, you guys, thank you so much for taking this time. I know Gonzaga alums and, you know, everybody that is tuned into this are so grateful to hear from you guys, hear it live, hear that Mark Few sometimes puts on his wife's shoes to go on a run.
You can't be saying that to too many people. Don't be telling everybody all that.
Well, it's a live event, and, you know, fun stories come out. That's why you gotta love it. I appreciate it. And it's a secret story, so people who tuned in get that knowledge. Love it. Thank you both. Zakira, please get some sleep. So appreciate you coming on in crazy times in Finland. You guys, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.